Welcome back, everybody. So, I know I've been gone for a while, and if you're wondering where I've been, or if I quit playing the game, or just gave up on my climb, as you can see, um, I've been pretty busy grinding the game. I'm on a new account that I hand leveled. So I created a new account starting from level 1 and hand leveled it myself, which took a damn long time. And it was a little bit of a rocky journey once I was level 30 and able to do ranked placements. So, first of all, why did I start a new account in the first place? Well, with my old account, which I intended to grind, it was pretty obvious to me that, not to sound cocky,
30
but
seconds until minions
that
spawn.
games were a little bit of a lower level or lower quality than I thought I needed to be in. And if you watch any other league content out there, this is a pretty age old narrative, right? Where you have the iron or bronze player that says, "Oh, I should be gold or plat or diamond or whatever." If it wasn't for my teammates holding me back constantly. Um,
Minions have spawned.
and there is some truth to that to a degree, but not over a large enough sample size of games. I'm talking like 200 or 300 games, because even 100 games, I feel like 100 games, you start to settle in your range, plus or minus 150-ish LP. But I still don't think that 100 games is really um, a good indicator of where your true rank is. Now, once you've played about 300 games, that's probably where you deserve to be. Um, So instead of buying an account, because if you buy botted accounts, they're at greater risk of being banned by Riot. So I decided to hand level a fresh account, which took several weeks alone just playing normal games and ARAMs just to get enough XP to level up to level 30. And in most of the normal games, I was playing with and against Emerald players basically throughout the entire journey leveling up my account. Now, when I did my placement games, I placed in Silver 1, I believe, but the MMR was still around Plat Emerald, because those were the players that were either on my team or that I was up against. And when placements were over, yeah, like I said, I placed in Silver 1 in around like mid Plat MMR. And that's when my grind began, essentially. As always, I'm going to post my OPGG in the description. But it's, I can say with some confidence that the quality of games between like high gold, low plat, and high bronze, low silver, which is where my other account was, it's not very different, honestly. It is not different at all. So if anyone ever, tries to flex on you if you're a bronze player that they're in plat, it's not that much different. The biggest differences really are like people's ability to skirmish and chant mastery. In general, isn't always the case. People are playing champs that they're pretty comfortable and familiar with in higher gold, low plat, emerald. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. But the quality of games is roughly the same. And what I mean by quality is, you're still going to get a lot of people who are griefing. Sometimes people will first time champs, pretty rarely. You'll have people mental boom and just start running it down as soon as things don't go their way. Right? I queued that Warwick as he was walking into the bush. I should have just let him walk into me and then Q and E him so that I had a better chance of killing him. I'm playing Nocturne here, by the way, and I'm not abandoning Udyr. On my OPGGs, you see I still play and main Udyr. But I'll get to explaining why I played Nocturne here in a second. Yeah, at any rate, the quality of the games is roughly about the same, but there are a few things that like plat players will do that they won't do in bronze generally, and that comes down to rotating for plays. And I'm saying this as a jungler. Jungle is my main role. Um, and when I was doing my games where there were plat and emerald players in the games, the laners, especially mid, was most likely to rotate to a play if it was a guaranteed like 2v1 or guaranteed kill. Even if they didn't have full priority, as long as they weren't farming under tower, more often than not they would rotate to a play in the jungle. So if I was fighting over void grubs or fighting over a scuttle and it was 1v1, mid laners will rotate, whereas in bronze and in silver people aren't even looking at the map. So that's one thing I did notice. And again, in general, people here are better at skirmishing, but they're also somewhat better at not skirmishing, if that makes sense. So if a fight looks bad, like for example that fight there, they just won't rotate to that fight. Whereas in bronze and low silver, any fight is a good fight to them, and they'll rotate to anything, even if it's bad. If it's 3v5 at the dragon with no vision, I'm sure you've experienced this, where your teammates just kind of hover around the pit, accomplishing nothing really, and just throwing spells, hoping to annoy the enemy team or maybe steal a dragon, where it's more useful to trade something on the map, like a tower on the other side, or shoving waves and creating pressure and forcing them off the dragon. But again, if you look at my OPGG, I had a good stretch of losses, and obviously I didn't play perfectly. Otherwise, I would have been ace maybe every single one of those games. But it is so crazy to me that people make it this far. Now, for most league content creators, because they are in the business of content creation, maybe they play in higher elo, their world kind of revolves around league, they'll say, oh yeah, plat, piss low. But plat is the top 24% of the player base, which means if you hit plat, you're better than like 76% of the players in your region. Or I mean, in NA, because I'm speaking strictly about NA. And it's mind-boggling to me that people make it this far when they run it down like they have in some of my games, where I've had bot laners with like 15, 19, 20 deaths. This isn't combined, this is just a single laner. And then I've had the games where, laner, like bot or top laners have combined 20 plus deaths. And it's... If you've played other games competitively where there is engagement-based matchmaking, whether anybody knows whether Riot uses that or not, it would be stupid of them not to, right? It's, you either have the games dispersed in such a way where it's not so obvious, but sometimes, like if you played Marvel Rivals, it's not quite like Overwatch, where in Marvel Rivals a lot of games are complete stomps one way or the other. Either your team stomps or the enemy team stomps, whereas in Overwatch it was a little bit less of that. On my climb to plat on this new account, I ran into a lot of games where it was completely lopsided. Either my team completely stomped the other team, or my team just got steamrolled. It was pretty rare that there were any games that were like, 50-50 and whoever like makes the first mistake loses the game. It was pretty rare that it was ever that close. I'd say they were fairly lopsided more than half the time. And there is a saying that goes, I think this was popularized by Coach Curtis. I don't think he agrees with this anymore, and I never agreed with it in the first place, where it's like 40% of your games you automatically win if you do nothing. 40% of your games you automatically lose regardless of your input. And and then the remaining 20%, it's like really up to you to make a contribution or impact. I don't think that the distribution is that close. Otherwise, the game just would not be fun to play. And that is a pattern that people will start to notice, you know, especially higher elo players who grind the game a lot, or even low elo players who play like over 1,000 or 1,500 games per season. And right now I'm on a little bit of a streak. So yeah, let me get into this game. I'm playing Nocturne here because Leandry's was nerfed a couple weeks ago, and I really felt really felt is questionable, I guess. But since it's all subjective, it felt like it was impacting my ability to play on tempo as Udyr, because it was really his only source of damage if you go tank Udyr, which is my primary way of playing him, the Leandry's tank. And it kind of felt like my jungle clear times were somewhat slower. It felt like it was maybe 4 to 6 seconds slower on the map. And I did the math with the AP reduction and using ChatGPT, and yeah, anywhere between 4 to 8 seconds. And Udyr is a tempo champion. I mean, the way you win games is by out farming the enemy jungler, being faster on the map than the enemy jungler. That's why you buy, you know, Swifties, Dead Man's Plate, lots of items that give you move speed, slow resist, tenacity. And if you look at high elo Udyr players, they're usually 1 to 2 or more levels up on the enemy jungler by mid to late game. Because if you're ever even on Udyr, it feels like crap. And if you're behind on Udyr, well, then you really can't get anything done, because Udyr is not a solo carry like 1v9 type of champ, even though 1v9ing is not a thing in the game anymore. It is very, very difficult for Udyr to carry without a team, because you're a tank. You're a tank that can do damage. Like, yeah, you can burst somebody down with an awakened Q if you catch them off guard, but you're never the one running in getting kills. You are a tank. So if you have teammates that aren't doing damage, or they aren't skirmishing very well, or they're running it down, or they've mental boomed, your game is essentially done, because, you know, this is a team game. You cannot win the game by yourself. And if you don't have a team, Udyr is essentially useless. You could be 10-0 as Udyr, and if you have no one on your team to follow up on damage, you're pretty useless, because what are you going to do? If you're 10-0, you have 1 Leandry's and then a bunch of tank items. Not much you can do there. So with the delay in tempo, the nerf of the items, his win rate went down like 1.5% after the nerf, which again could be placebo for a lot of the players, impacting their gameplay. I decided to just play a champ that I knew was still strong, that wasn't completely boring, because, you know, Amumu is a pretty evergreen jungler. I shouldn't have walked in here, Matt. Huge mistake. But Amumu is really fucking boring, if I'm honest. So I picked Nocturne for a couple games. Some games went really well, other games not so much. But when they buffed Udyr's R to make up for the Leandry's nerf, I was and am back on Udyr. The only time I don't play Udyr is when he was banned. And in my rank up game from gold to plat, Udyr was banned because somebody on my team was on the enemy team, and somebody dodged in champ select and saw me hover Udyr, so they banned Udyr. I played Briar. I'm comfortable on Briar. And then my next game in plat, Udyr was also banned again on a completely different day, and I played Briar. But I do intend to play Udyr for as long as I can climb. And who knows? Maybe I'll just be hard stuck where I am now. I'm not sure. The journey continues. So yeah, somebody left a comment on on one of my videos the other day that said RIP, which is kind of funny. I mean, first of all, I'm not a YouTuber. You know, I'm making YouTube videos but this is neither my career or my aspiration as a career. I mean, I'm in my 40s, right? Like, it's tough to make this your full-time job unless you're one of those like doctors or engineers who was already making a shitload of money and decided, oh, I'm already doing well on YouTube. Let me quit my full-time job and try this YouTube thing full-time. So yeah, I don't feel super compelled to be on a strict posting schedule, um, but at the same time, I think it's fun to document the journey, however long it takes me, and for how often I can post. Again, I've got other things going on. Hell, just playing the game itself takes a lot of time, right? That's in one of my first videos, I said that's what makes League a little bit frustrating. Nice black shield there by Morgana. It helped me stick onto Azir and not get pushed by his ult. Yeah, where was I? With regard to climbing and what I was saying in my first videos, like, part of the reason why people get frustrated is because, like, say you're on a 3-game loss streak, that's like an hour and a half to 2 hours of your time, and it sucks to spend time in your life that you'll never get back losing, right? So I have a lot of sympathy for people who are on loss streaks or, have negative win rate over a large sample size of games, because number one, you wouldn't be playing this game that often if you didn't care about it, care about improving, and number two, time is the only resource in life we will never, ever get back. So if you make the decision to play this game, it'd be nice to not feel like you're spending all your days losing all the time. So, at any rate, was it worth and leveling a new account to see if I can attain a higher rank as a starting point? I don't know. If we're going to go back to this whole time thing, I would say it probably wasn't worth it, because yeah, I can say I'm not bronze anymore, because actually when my first YouTube video started, I think I was an Iron 1. And I mean, man, his name is escaping me right now. Ludwig climbed from Iron or whatever to Plat in 2.5 months, but again, he was doing it full time and was getting coached almost daily. So it's possible for anyone and everyone to get to Plat realistically, with the right mindset, the right information, the correct application, blah blah blah. Everything falls in place. Anyone can get to Plat, because it's not like you don't need special skills or an insane amount of talent to be here. So whether you're in Plat or in Silver, the differences that I've noticed so far in gameplay, game quality are so minute that it probably isn't really worth it. It wasn't worth the amount of time it took just to level up the account. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go back to my other account and resume my journey there. It just means that I'm going to have this as a starting off point, or maybe as an end point. Who knows? Maybe I'll play another 100 games and I'll still be in Plat 4. That would kind of suck, but at that point I would have to find some other angle or slant to make my content interesting if I continue to pursue this route of documenting my games, because there are a lot of people out there who are just hard stuck gold, hard stuck Plat, that make YouTube videos and do content full time, but it's because they have other things. Maybe they're really funny, or it's interesting to watch them because they rage a lot, or maybe they're like e-girls that the dudes who play this game are super into, and we'll watch them no matter what rank they're in. But that's not me. I'm just a middle-aged dude. Nobody wants to watch a middle-aged dude huddle around in gold, for 600 games. That would be really boring and really sad. So, yeah, what am I going to do with the other account? Well, I have a shitload of skins, and as I mentioned in my first few videos, I like playing champs that I have skins for. So I'll probably play different champs in different roles. I don't have any skins on this account. I have like 2 skins, which sucks because they're champs that I don't play. It's like LeBlanc and Singed. Um, maybe Singed Jungle will become a thing. But yeah, it's also nice to play on a different account and play other roles, just relax and chill. Sometimes duo with friends or something to bring back and remember like why people were playing this game in the first place, and it's to have fun, right? And the game is not fun sometimes when you're sweating your balls off and just going on huge loss streaks. It makes even the wins less satisfying somehow. Maybe some people know what I mean by that. So yeah, that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. This is where I am now in low plat. Hopefully I'll continue climbing, and if I ever make it to diamond, then maybe that'll give some hope for people my age or younger. If like an old boomer can make it, then realistically anybody can, right? Because I'm not mechanically gifted. I'm not like one of those people who are like, oh, I reached Radiant in Valorant, and I was, like top 10 in Hearthstone, and like, top 100 in Overwatch, and I'm just really good at all video games. That wasn't me. I didn't really start gaming all that much until the pandemic. And by the time the pandemic started, I was like 38, 39, much older than probably the majority of League players today. So, yeah, if I can do it, if an old fogey like me can get the plat, literally anybody can get the plat. Diamond is another goal, but that's a whole other story, and it could take time because I see people's OPGGs, especially like when I was climbing climbing through gold on this account. Most of the players in my games were plat or emerald, or they peaked emerald or low diamond, and I look at their OPGGs, and they spent several years in plat and emerald before getting a diamond. 2-3 years in plat, 2-3 years in emerald. It takes time to climb in this game. It takes a lot of games, unless you just happen to be freakishly gifted, which makes doing content tough. Okay, starting the Otacon here is kind of bad now that everybody's coming in. I found that unless you are extremely ahead, like 10k gold ahead, or just have prio in mid and bot lane or whatever side lane the Otacon is on, I have no data to back this up, but it feels like whoever starts the Otacon always loses the Otacon fight. Because for one, the Otacon does a shitload of damage, and two, it also cuts your resistances down by a lot. I think your magic resist especially. So when I'm playing Udyr and I see them starting the Otacon when it seems like a 50-50, I just go in there and dump my Awaken R on them, and they have no magic resist. We come in and clean up the fight. Luckily we do get it here, but we're pretty ahead, 22 and 12. Yeah, the Otacons have seemed 50-50 when it's not completely free. Actually, not 50-50. It seems like it's in favor of the people who come to it after the buff or the objective has been started. So yeah, unless you can like Giga Stomp the other team, don't start the Otacon unless you've gotten some picks or have gotten priority in the lane, because that thing, I'm not even sure how good the stats are and whether it's worth like fighting over and having a couple people die. In terms of win percentage, I'm just not sure how good the stats are on Otacon. Whereas on Dragon, I know that Cloud Soul has the highest win rate, whereas the other ones are not so great. So definitely not worth inting over. But Cloud Soul is pretty big. Cloud Soul, I think, was well over 50. It was like 51, 52%. I can't recall. Whereas the other Dragon Souls were in the 40s, high 40s. I'm not sure exactly what the plan is here. This is the tough thing about Nocturne, is that like you're not exactly a team fighter. You're better off on the side lane getting picks. So usually in situations like this, I just wait for somebody to get low, and then I ult in and, you know, pray. But since Jhin is ulting here, it's nice to go in to like clean up or get people low for him to kill, and also to get vision for him. But I've played some Jhin before, and it does suck when when you pop your ulti and then everybody goes in the fog. So sometimes if you're healthy and you can tank or even do some damage, it's good to get in there and help your Jhin get some vision. So here Jhin is finally walking back. Kind of a waste of time for him to walk to the inhibitor in the first place, because the whole enemy team is dead. And it is much better for us to use this timer to get the Baron than to just get one inhibitor. Because if we get the one inhibitor, what'll happen is they all deploy on the map, full health, all gold spent. While we're recalling, they can get to the Baron before we do. So better to do it while they're dead, unless we can get 3 towers and 3 inhibs or something. And since we're this far ahead and we have Baron, I feel like any towers we want to get with Baron should be fairly free. Since I've been yapping on about the game and what I've been doing, I haven't been paying attention to what's been happening in this game, and I don't remember exactly how things go. This doesn't look that great. Yeah, we really don't want to take any losing fights here because we have Baron buff. Okay, he just used his ult on Aurora, so I can go in. I feel fairly confident. Alright, now it's not looking so good. I'm getting chunked by everybody. I'm on fire. And I survived with like 20 HP. That would have sucked if I died there and lost my Baron buff. Because we weren't really pressuring. I don't know what's going on bot lane here, but they had 3 people top. So I don't know what happened elsewhere on the map. It looks like Jhin rotated over, maybe. Maybe it would have been better for him and Morgana to push mid and get the inhibitor, while Ornn, Karma, and Warwick were top. So the bot tower is still up. That's probably the next objective we should go for. I see, or bot tower, top tower is down. Everybody up there is fighting. Yeah, Warwick is off the map for quite a long time, so I think we can end here because I have my ult. Once this tower is down or chunked down, I can ult Azir. Looks like I'm just gonna push the mid wave here.
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
I mean, yeah, this inhib should be free too. That's Azir's ult. Give her a flash. That's kind of a bold flash. I don't. She got nothing for that, which is weird. Yeah, like I said, between plat and bronze, like I rarely see a difference sometimes. So yeah, like I said, this auction, everybody was recalling or leaving the enemy base, and this guy just like stuck around for fun. And now he's dead and off the map for like a minute. And now Jhin is all the way up here by himself. Everybody's in base or dead, and I'm all the way back in my own jungle. He's pinging for help, but realistically, what are we gonna do? I'm Nocturne. Like, you know. I should kill this guy. He does a lot of damage. And my only source of magic resists are my boots. So, I'm not sure if this is Soul or if it's Third Dragon. I'm thinking it might be Soul since it's at around 39 minutes. But if we can get a pick before the dragon, then either the dragon is free or we can just end the game. Because we have 2 inhibits down. This looks like 3 kills, yeah. Sivir should be dead. Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's the game. I have Black Cleaver, so Horn is not as tanky. And I'm 2 levels on him. So easy. Yeah, I mean, you could see where the enemies kind of threw the game there and made some weird plays. The Warwick I felt like played really, really poorly, and he is a Warwick main. So yeah, the journey continues in Plat. Thanks for watching.